Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another short, little unboxing video to share with you guys. Something from Demko knives. I was made aware of this fairly recently. By the time you guys are watching this, you can probably guess what it is. Definitely a class of, EDC knife that I have come to appreciate much more here recently. Not so much in the early days of this hobby, but after climbing the ladder and going left and right and sometimes down and diagonal, right? There's definitely a place for this stuff, and I'm really excited to see how this platform translates to this type of knife. Okay, lengthy, cryptic intro. Thanks so much to Demko Knives for sending this in. These are available. I will link them right down in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Okay, so what do we have? Usually I take everything completely out of the box, but I guess I decided not to do that this time. So we'll go ahead and open it up. That looks like maybe the description. Okay, yeah. So this is, do we have one? Okay. Oh, it's a lot. It's heavier than I thought it was going to be. Okay. Well, let's see what we've got. Maybe this isn't what I thought. Oh. It isn't. This is not what I thought at all. Everything I said in the intro is complete. It has nothing to do with this knife. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and... You guys told me the trick here with this, and I completely forgot what the trick was. So I just sort of force it open. There we go. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's a chunky. He's a chunky fellow, he is. Release your treasures. Yes, okay. So what we have here is the new titanium Nano Shark. I believe I have just about everything down here that I can use as a size comparison, and I will do that here in just a moment. So I have the G10 version of this knife, and I really like it. When you're talking about Demko knives, you have to compare with other Demko knives. Demko doesn't make a bad knife. Everything he makes is awesome. And I can tell you definitively, if this was the only knife that he had ever made, we would all label it as incredible. And it is an incredible knife. It's a very cool knife. The Nano Shark, the G10 version that I had, after EDCing it, I was like, it's cool. I like it a lot. It's a Demko knife. It's incredibly convenient, right? It's ergonomic. Just about a full 4-finger grip. It's great. But I prefer the AD 20.5 and especially the Shark Cub, just because of the size and the feel and everything. And that's still going to be the case. But the full titanium here I got to weigh in on that because I do like the full titanium a lot. Very cool. I think it's actually a little bit thicker blade than both the AD 20.5 and the Shark Cub, which I think some people might prefer. It is still very easy to manipulate, extremely easy given that slot right there, the positioning of it and the height of it. It's a taller knife for sure. Incredibly strong. If you are new to pocket knives, or maybe you're new to the Demko stuff, right? Andrew Demko invented the triad lock, which used to be a bigger joke on this channel because whenever you would mention lock strength or even whisper about it in the darkest corners, the back alleys of the social media knife community, you would have a flood of people jumping out of the ductwork to claim, not really claim, but like forcefully scream in your face, how dare you imply strength can be talked about in any context that isn't the cold steel triad lock. The cold steel triad lock is absolute greatness, supreme might incarnate. How dare you speak of strength on the same planet that the triad lock exists? People would, and like some people were just like jokey and kind of like laughy about it, but there were some serious diehard cold steel. I have to imagine like the people who would watch the cold steel ads of like pigs being chopped in half and stuff like that, and they stand up and they, yeah, you know, they get really, it's like their whole existence is like based on the fact that they live on the same planet as the Triad Lock, right? And they basically worshipped it. It was kind of funny. We don't see that as much anymore. I think everybody's kind of figured out like that, you know, okay, calm down, like everybody knows. And it was strong. That was the thing. The Cold Steel Triad Lock is an exceptionally strong locking system, but it's common knowledge, and it's also not something that requires like special, you know, level 9,000 ninja pass to be able to acquire or purchase. It's just like anybody with, you know, like a totally reasonable amount of money can simply go to Blade HQ and buy a knife with a Cold Steel Triad Lock. It's a really great lock. It just had a weird, aggressive following about it. This gentleman invented this lock, and then, you know, the issue with the Triad Lock is it's great, but it takes a little bit more to, you know, manipulate. These are not difficult steps, but you do have to shift your hands and stuff like that. And I think most importantly, in a lot of cases, your hands are just in the path. And I think as the knife world progresses, more and more locking systems are being developed that removes the user's hand from the path of the blade when it goes down into the closing position. So this lock, the Demko Shark Lock, whoa, we got a little lock stick there. Gonna have to work that out. This lock, it locks or engages exactly the same way. It's just as strong, but you engage with this tab back here, which allows the blade to fall down into the closed position without your fingers being in the way. And it is 1,000% easier to manipulate. I think it's superior to the Triad Lock in every way, shape, or form. I'm sure people will argue with me. That's fine, but I'm not going to change my mind. The other knives in this family would be the AD 20.5. Okay, there we go. So now I have the Shark Cup. Actually, we're going to do smallest to largest so you can see. So we have the Demko, the Nano Shark. We have the Shark Cub. We have the AD 20.5 and the original full-size AD 20, which is a different beast. They do not make a Taiwan production version of this knife, and I honestly don't think they ever will. This is the full USA version, much, much larger. They actually have a substantially larger version of the knife called the AD 20 XL, which is also exclusive to, you know, his in-house US shop. So these are all going to be less expensive and far more common than this guy. There do exist, of course, custom and semi-production versions of like the 80-20 Compact, and I think perhaps even something that's slightly in between the size of these two. But those, I think, were like small batch, like not meant to, you know, for continued production or anything like that. And certainly not something you'd find in the Taiwan production versions of these knives. But here's your size differences. I'm also going to flip-flop them because everything on the bottom of the camera appears substantially larger than it actually is. So we're going to flip-flop so you can see these from two different perspectives here. This is still something that I can get a full grip on. I wear an XL glove, so it's not my rule, even though it doesn't really come up that often in my day-to-day. I don't like to carry knives that I can't get a full four-finger grip on. I will make an exception when I travel. You guys know that the Civivi Baby Banter was my travel knife for a long time. And the reason I make an exception there is because I don't really want to have to worry about like what I'm carrying over what state line. That's going to be legal pretty much everywhere in the United States, and I just don't want to have to worry about it. But this is about as small a knife as I prefer to carry, and it is absolutely within the realm of, you know, what I like when I use a knife, what I use it for, and the blade shape that I prefer to use for those tasks. This is right there in that territory. I can get my finger right up behind the nose of the blade, I guess, or the tip of the blade, and do my draw cuts and things like that. I carried this forever, my 3D 80-20.5, and I do have an 80-20i or an 80-20 International that's G10 and 20 CV that I carry. This guy, the full titanium original, I don't carry because it is extremely valuable and extremely rare, being one of the first edition versions of this knife. Actually, I think it is a first edition with the older button head screws. And I think actually on this guy, he has scratched in 20 CV on the blade. That's how they used to mark them. But I don't use that one because it's just really rare and valuable. So I use this guy forever. I switched to this guy, got this guy, carried it for a bit, but went back to this guy, and then periodically I carry my full-size 8020i. But this is really cool. I do like the full titanium. That makes it fun. It makes it chunky, heavy, you know, kind of. If you like smaller, chunky knives that are actually incredibly durable, these are going to be the knives where, you know, if you're the type of knife enthusiast and you want the premium materials and the premium this or that, but at the same time, maybe you're going to be pretty rough on it. You know, you could go and just buy some basically disposable blade, or you could buy a utility knife, but that's boring. You want to use something nice, you want to use something premium, but you want it to actually be insanely durable, not only in terms of, you know, the total build quality, but the lock strength. This is going to be one of those very few knives that actually holds up to that definition. These types of knives that fit within the realm of compact, convenient EDC, but also extreme durability, definitely. And all of these knives have been used, I'm sorry, not this one because I just got it, but these two have been used with no reservations. No reservations whatsoever. They're Demko knives. I'm going to beat on them, and man, do they hold up. I have never had any issues. Huge fan. So I'm going to guess that this guy's going to end up being pretty expensive given that it is CPM 20 CV and titanium and made in Taiwan. So it's probably going to be up there. I'll let you guys take a look at it. I've already reviewed this knife, so you can check out my full-length review of this guy because it's exactly the same, but in G10 scales, which will lighten it up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and weigh this so you know what it weighs in titanium. This one's in aluminum, by the way. 4.5 ounces. That is a chunk for the size of knife that this is, which is not very big. In fact, I'll go ahead and measure it for you because I have my tape measure right here. Overall length is coming in at 6 inches with a blade length of about 2.35 and a cutting edge of about 2 1/8, maybe a hair over. Okay. I do like the titanium version better than the G10 version. I just kind of like the added heft, and it feels like a tiny little, you know, it's like an armored Toyota Tacoma. Like, that's what it makes me think of, you know? Just like a hunchy, chunky, little meaty, aggressive guy. So I kind of like it. That's going to be it today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.